Hello friends, welcome to C# Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. Now you are watching part 3 of the sub-series C# Delegates and Events. In this video, we are going to see how to raise custom events. In the last video, we talked about the example. During that time, we talked about the math class as well. Now we will raise the event from math class. That means in this video we are going to look at the event producer part. So in the next video we will look at the consumer part. Here we will go ahead with the event producer. So in the first video we learned about the event and delegate. This is the producer part. Next, we talked about the event consumer part. Then we discussed about the example, and this is the class we are going to develop here in this video. So we already know that this class here, if you see, this is math ex, and here is it, math ex. Then we have two number, num1 and num2. Here you are seeing that num1 and num2. After that we have math ex constructor that takes two integer and initializes the number 1 and number 2. So when we talked about the example, we told that this number 1 and number 2, this will be the data domain for the math ex class itself. So in this example, our exe, that means the consumer itself, are going to feed the data, but in real world data will come from some other part, and the consumer will get notified about the data, and they will make use of those data through event dispatch mechanism. All right, so this is for since it's our example, and to make the example simple, here we will create the instance of math ex and feed these two data using this constructor. Next comes the important part. Here if you see, we are declaring a delegate, or we are defining the delegate. This is the keyword delegate. Delegate name is do math action. So that's the name we are giving to the delegate, and this one is just a keyword, and type is defined here. Delegate returns nothing, void, and it takes two parameter. First parameter is integer and second parameter also integer. So this is name, type is defined by this box, void, and return type delegate name. So to tell this is a delegate, we use the keyword delegate, and this one is access specifier for the delegate. That means this delegate can be even used outside the math class, because we are specifying the access specifier as a public. Next, we define an event, and here you can see do math action that it takes or defines or operates on two parameters, n1 and n2. Next we have a event. Event is public, that means anybody can access this event. Outside the world, people can access this event, and they can tie their event handler routine to it. And the name given for the event is math action handler. So this defines the event and what kind of handler, or when we are raising the event, which method it will call. So that one is defined by the delegate name. So here we already defined a delegate, and that we are using it here. Do math action. Here we are telling do math action. So math action handler is the event name that is what exposed to the outside world. You can see math action handler and math action handler, and this symbol denotes it's an event exposed by this math ex class. And To tell this is an event, we use the keyword event and this access specifier. You know about this. And what type of event, that is defined by the delegate name. So once we specify the delegate name, now we know that this is an event. It will raise an event math action handler. So that's the event it will raise. When this event is raised, it will invoke a handler of type that returns void and takes two parameter, or we can say other words, it invokes the handler of type do math action. So that's the delegate, right? We can tell that way also. So once we say do math action, then we know it's a method or a type for the method, and the method can be any method that should return void and take two integer as parameter. So that's all. Here we defined our event, and here we have a function. So constructor we already talked about. This is the constructor. Here we have a public method do math app, and do math app. Here we are checking math action handler is not equal to empty. It means when consumer, this is public one, right? Math action handler is public, and when consumer access this math action handler and tie that with a event routine of type void takes to integer, right? Once they tie like this, then this will not be empty. So that's what we are checking here in the do math app, and here we are making call to this dot math action handler event dot invoke. We know that the handler will take two parameter. So this is simply a function pointer here. If you see, once you make a call to invoke, it will make a call to this client supplied function, and the term here is raising the event. But raising the event is nothing but calling the function supplied by the user. If you are a C++ user, you simply know this as a function pointer. Client will provide a function pointer to a function, and here we invoke that function. Same stuff here. The consumer will give the function or handler function to this event, and when event is raised, it is simply calling that given handler. And when we are calling it, we supply the data from our application domain. But in consumer point of view, if you see in this example, we supply this number 1 and number 2. That means consumer is the one who creates this class, and consumer is the one who give these two integer as parameter. So this is just for understanding purpose only, and that's not right. And in real world, this data will be generated by this class, and it is available, and the consumer will subscribe to this event stating that when such data is with you, notify me and give me those data as parameter. So that's what this delegate says. Whenever we register to this event itself demands to have a function to receive those two data from the event part. So these two, or we can simply call data of event. Right. So when you implement some of the UI handler, you will receive event argument, right? So here these two are the event argument. All right. Now we defined our math class. We have two numbers. We have a function. This function we use to test the event rising part, and this one is the event, and this is the delegate. Now it's demo time. We will go ahead and create this math class. All right, this is our class, or this is our project. Now we have to create a new class. So here I am clicking on the project name, then I am right clicking here, choose add new item, or you can directly go for class as well. But when you go to new item, here you can choose class, and you can define a name for your C# file as well. So that's the class. Here we created a class and there is a file named math.ex. So here first we have two integer member. So we have two integer member. So after this, here we have a constructor. This is our constructor which initializes the internal member n1 and n2 based on the parameter passed in. Next, we define our delegate as well as event, and the moment I add event, you can see how the event is displayed in the class definition. Constructor that takes two parameters, two internal member and an event. Finally, we have to write a function to test the event rising part. Here, if you see, this is math action handler, right? Math action handler dot invoke. That's what here. The moment you call math action handler dot invoke, we are calling number one. We are calling the handler function supplied by the user. Or we can simply say this is the part which will raises the event. Here we are actually raising the math action handler event, and we provide event data number one and number two. So just now you saw the demo. Thank you for watching. Bye.